and we still do not know how they died or whether Weldon killed them. But now we know that he has been linked by DNA evidence to two separate sexual assaults. A woman at a homeless shelter back in 2009 and a second woman who came forward last year. Tonight, Weldon's only charged for that kidnapping, and Weldon has pleaded not guilty. But does the evidence suggest he has a history of targeting women, and will he be held responsible? I want to bring in our panel on this. On the phone, we have Stephanie Barry. She's a reporter for The Republican and also Mass Live. Also, former NYPD detective and law enforcement consultant Tom Verney, and defense attorney Brian Claypool. And I want to bring in Brian Claypool, who is with me. Brian, you hear this? You saw how many pages? Yeah. I mean, we do a lot of stories on the show, but it took 4 pages to show his rap sheet, including assaulting officers. There's so many things in his background. He says he's not guilty. The bodies just happened to show up at the house he lives with his mother, the odor, the timing. Well, how do you defend this guy?
Well, I'm a criminal defense lawyer. It looks bad. It smells bad.
It smells bad in more ways than one, unfortunately.
No pun intended, but proving beyond a reasonable doubt in a courtroom when you have two bodies where the evidence has waned away and has probably been buried in the ground for years, it's going to be hard to have a medical examiner come in and exhume those bodies and take a look at it and try to connect some physical or forensic evidence to this young man, Weldon.
Although you know that sometimes you can find evidence even years later. We've got the DNA. We've got some pretty sophisticated tests. If they can indeed pinpoint it, I mean, the location is pretty significant, Brian. You seem to be discounting that.
Well, look, if the jury trial was going to be based on inference, then you'd get a guilty verdict.
What, it just happened? The bodies just happened to show up in the house? Out of magic, Brian?
You can argue that till the cows come home. But
no, but a jury is going to hear that and not believe you.
But jurors are also going to be looking at the fact that is there any DNA evidence connecting Weldon to any of these two women? The tragedy here, too, Rita, bad news, is you don't have those two prior women. You don't have Weldon prosecuted for those other two prior crimes, because much like the Cosby case and Harvey Weinstein, you would have been able to even introduce those convictions possibly as evidence in this case as well, which would have helped to get a conviction. So it's still a daunting task to get Weldon convicted.
But you know that there's probably many other cases too. If you look at this guy's rap sheet, and again, we don't know, but there's such a high recidivism rate as we go back to its sexual assaults. And you look at the proclivity and the fact that he's brazen enough to go after officers, Tom. Yeah. This guy's got such a huge rap sheet. There's probably more, and I bet you they will come up with more details once they determine cause of death. And that may be tough, as you point out, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, he brings up a good point. I mean, you know, each of these cases in upon themselves are standing on their own, facts and evidence, right?